Hey guys, welcome to Dragon's Forge. It's that time of the week again where we go over the spoilers, and this time we're going to be going over week 6 of the spoilers. But before we get going, next week is going to be an exciting week. We finally get to know what Verena Elgar does, as well as we may actually get some decent support for Nirvana. To kick things off, we start with Monday, June 7th. With new support for Brontgate, we start with Cardinal Prima Altepo, with the ability of when this unit is on Guardian Circle, if your world is Dark Knight, Soul Charge 1. If it is Abyssal Dark Knight, Soul Charge 2. If Soul becomes more important for the Orphis deck, I could see this being run, but at this time, it's not particularly important, so it probably won't see any play. Then following Altepo, we have Cardinal Prime Eculpa, with the ability on Rearguard Circle, when this unit attacks or boosts, if your world is Abyssal Dark Knight, you can retire a Shadow Army token and countercharge 1. Now, Eculpa has a better chance of being run compared to the previous card, but it is mostly going to be used as a budget option, as Bubble Mine is just a much better countercharge unit. So beyond budget, I don't expect any kind of usage of this card. Moving on to Tuesday, June 8th, we have Heavenly Flight Prideful Dragon. With the ability on Rearguard Circle, when this unit attacks, if you have 4 or more grade 3 rearguards, you can Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1 and draw a card. If you Persona Road this turn, you may have this unit get Power plus 5,000 and an additional crit until the end of the turn, instead of drawing a card. Prideful Dragon overall has a whole lot of potential for really closing out a game, or at the very least pressuring your opponent very hard, but its ability that's locked behind the Persona Ride is where it's really at, and due to him plus another high rarity card having a restriction of Persona Ride, it makes me think that we are going to be seeing some kind of Persona Ride enabler in Bastion soon. Even without the Persona Ride enabler, I do see Prideful Dragon having a chance to make its way in, and very likely being a good card for the deck. Next up, we have Knight of Heavenly Collapse Capaldo. With the ability of when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle, from hand, Counterblast 1 and rest another rearguard and reveal the top card of your deck and put it into your hand if it is an order card or a grade 3, and call it to the Rearguard Circle if it isn't. The only places where I could see Capaldo making any kind of headway would be in a budget deck, or potentially any control variant of Bastion, or potentially Hexa Orb. But for now, I don't expect to see Capaldo run in any way. With the Tuesday live stream, we got news about the new ride lines that we have for Dragonic Overlord and Phantom Blaster Dragon. First up, we have Lizard Runner Undo, with the ability of when this unit is rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. So as it is just a standard starting Vanguard ability, there's nothing wrong with it. It's at least in line with everything else. Next up, we have Embodiment of Armor Bar, with the ability of when this unit is rode upon by Dragon Knight Nahalem, you can Counterblast 1 and search your deck for up to 1 grade 1 card and reveal it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. Then as well, once per turn on Rearguard Circle, when your Vanguard's attack hits, this unit gets Power plus 5,000 until end of turn. The first search ability allows for so much flexibility in either getting a defensive option or an offensive option, so there's a lot of great things you can do with Bar's initial search ability. Then as for the second ability, it makes him an excellent booster as for late game, making him a 13k attacker, or he may even be a great attacker outright himself, as he'll be able to hit a Vanguard without any additional triggers or anything being applied. Next up, we have Dragon Knight Nahalem, with the ability of when this unit is rode upon by a unit with Overlord in its card name, call this card to Rearguard Circle. Then as well, once per turn, if you have a Vanguard with Overlord in its card name, you can Soul Blast 1, and this unit and all of your Vanguards get Power plus 5,000 until the end of the turn. So for the first ability, it just further gives the ability to press your opponent aggressively, providing an additional attacker. But then also for the second ability, you're able to give all of your Vanguards with Overlord and himself an extra 5,000 power, which allows him to hit any other Vanguard, and then as well hits the first threshold for magic numbers on the Vanguard. Overall, a very solid ability. Moving on to Dragonic Overlord, he has an ability of on the Vanguard Circle or Rearguard Circle. During the battle, this unit attacked a Rearguard. Your opponent cannot call cards from their hand to Guardian Circle. Then as well, he has a Vanguard Circle once per turn ability of when this unit attack hits, you can Counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand and stand this unit, and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. For the first ability, it's a great ability to be able to take out those Rearguards that are problematic in the front row. And then as far as the second ability, it's just further Dragonic Overlord normal kind of stuff, but it's still very good overall. Now, the big question is will this ride line push out any of the other ride lines that we have in Dragon Empire right now? Comparing it against Nirvana, I don't think so, as Nirvana overall has far more support and better support as is. And then you have Eugene, which Eugene, I do think this at least is on par with it, potentially better, but it'll depend on what support we get later in the spoiler season. Now moving on to the Phantom Blaster Dragon ride line, we start with Full Bow. With the ability of when this unit is rode upon, if you went second, you can draw a card. And again, just as Undo, this is just a standard starting Vanguard ability, so no concerns here. Next up we have Blaster Javelin. With the ability of when this unit is rode upon by Blaster Dark, reveal the top card of your deck and call it to rearguard circle as rest if it is a unit card, and discard if it isn't. Then as well, there is during your turn on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its card name, this unit gets power plus 2000. The first ability very well plays into the Blaster Dark ability we will go over in a moment, and then as for the second ability, it makes him a great booster at a 10k booster. Overall, he's a very solid card. Next up we have Blaster Dark. With the ability of when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle or Rearguard Circle, you can counterblast one and retire another rearguard. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it, and this unit gets drive +1 until end of turn. Then on Rearguard Circle, during your turn, if your rearguard was retired this turn, this unit gets power plus 5000. So for the first ability, that's where Blaster Javelin's ability plays into, that it provides you that rearguard that you can potentially sacrifice and get that early pressure and as well card advantage off of Blaster Dark. Then as for the second ability, it just makes him a further better attacker, especially on the grade 3 turn, being able to hit a grade 3 easily. Again, a very solid overall card. And then to close out the ride line, we have Phantom Blaster Dragon. With the ability of when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, choose a card with Blaster in its card name from your soul, and you may call it to Rearguard Circle. And then on Vanguard Circle, once per turn, you can counterblast one and retire 3 rearguards. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's rearguards and retire them, and this unit gets power plus 10,000 and an additional crit until end of turn. So for the first ability, it plays into the second ability, and then it also allows you to kind of combo off with Blaster Dark as well, with the ability of being called to Rearguard Circle. And then for the second ability, it allows Phantom Blaster Dragon to apply a fair amount of pressure overall. The ideal turn you're looking for is to have Persona Road and then to retire your entire back row in order to apply a great amount of pressure to your opponent. Just like Dragonic Overlord, this is very much just like Phantom Blaster Dragon originally, and again, a very interesting and solid card. Now as for the ride line, will this do any better than Bastion or Hexa Orb? It's by no means anywhere near Bastion at this point, and Hexa Orb is quite a bit ahead of this as well, but we'll have to wait and see what kind of support we get for it. Now moving on to Wednesday, June 9th, we have Freeze Breeze. With the ability of on Rearguard Circle, when the attack this unit boosted hits, if your Vanguard is Master of Gravity Barrow Magnus, you can Soul Charge 1, and if your Soul has 10 or more cards, you can counterblast 1 and draw 2 cards. Now Freeze Breeze is a solid card overall, but the problem with it is you're just further perpetuating that rush towards a deck out. So I'm not entirely sure if this will see play, but it does have a chance, as it might give you the extra cards that you need to finish out that game with Master of Gravity Barrow Magnus. Next up we have Persistent Icicle Javina. With auto on the Rearguard Circle, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if your soul has 10 or more cards, you can counterblast and Soul Blast 1, and until the end of the battle, when your opponent would call cards from their hands to Guardian Circle, they must call 2 or more cards at the same time. I do think Javina overall is a very good card, but I do think it's not going to have the ability to push out Curtis. And due to this, I don't expect to see Javina run. Moving on to Thursday, June 10th, we get Volcanic Gun Dragon. With the ability of auto on the Rearguard Circle, when this unit attacks, if your opponent has no front row rearguards, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until the end of the battle. Overall, I feel like there's too many other grade 3 units in the Dragon Empire decks for this card to see any play, which is a shame considering the artwork. Next up, we have the new normal order card, Flame Dragon Bomber. With the ability of choose one of your Vanguards, and until the end of the the turn, it gets continuous on the Vanguard circle. When all of your units would attack, they may attack your opponent's back row rear guard. Overall, I see this card potentially making its way into some niche builds within Dragon Empire, as it's a great way to clear out that back row of those pesky rear guards. Next up, we have Deep Emotion Maiden Ursula, with the ability of continuous on the rear guard circle. When you would exchange or move rear guards during the main phase, you may also move them along rows. Then as well, on continuous on the rear guard, your units in front row of this unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's effects. As for the first ability, the way they've written it's kind of confusing, but what it basically means, normally you're able to swap from the front and back, but this allows you to move along the columns. Now, what this will allow for you to do is to reposition your entire field. And then this plays into our second ability in order to protect any of your rear guards or Vanguard in the front row. Overall, I think Ursula is a really good card, but the tricky thing about her is trying to find out where you can fit her into the decks that she's needed in, specifically Magnolia. To close out this week's worth of spoilers, we have Fruitful Season with the ability of until the end of the turn, all of your back row rear guards get power plus 5,000. You cannot move rear guards to other rear guard circles, and they cannot boost. Fruitful Season overall is a very interesting card that really allows Magnolia to boost out some more power, but I just don't see it having any way to make its way in by replacing anything. Out of this week's spoilers, which cards were you most excited for? For me, I was most excited for were the new ride lines for Dragonic Overlord and Phantom Blaster Dragon. Now, as for next week, what I am most excited for, as stated at the beginning of the video, is Verena Elgar. Are there any additional cards that you're excited to find out what they do, or any additional ideas of cards that you would like to see? And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, have a great day.